fighting, and we're going to talk to her about how her FMA has enhanced and influenced her current fight game. Coming this Thursday, we have another episode coming at 7 o'clock. That will be AKUSA. That night, Thursday at 7, I'll be interviewing Ka Marvin, Ka Vaughn, and Ka Joe. That should be pretty fun. I'm going to have 3 guests on. That'll be concerning Abenir Khalis in America, what the 4 of us are doing currently, and how eventually, hopefully one day, we will get to meet and produce a video of what AK is about and so forth. But this will be the beginning step, getting all 4 of us on a platform. And now I'm going to bring up Jessy and Coach Chris. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome. So long time no see. Well, Chris.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Jessy, we actually yesterday we did the test run, and which worked well. So, how are you guys doing today?
Really well.
Yeah. So, before we jump into things, how are you guys doing as far as the current crisis going on, as far as you staying in shape and what have you, and whenever the next fight, I guess, will come around, based on the circumstances.
It's been a little tough, running on the street always, your knees start to hurt after a while. So there's been, accommodations with trying to, find different things to do, but still being able to get the footwork drills in and training in, just it's a little more like self-motivation wise now.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because I've never done so much solo training in my entire existence. But it's funny, there's definitely benefits. I've always preferred having somebody in front of me to do, but you know what? There's stuff you can do on your own and all that. Running. So you actually do some road work?
So me?
Are you actually doing? Are you for cardio sakes? Are you running or?
Well, so I was able to borrow an assault bike from someone also. So I was very lucky. One of the gyms allowed me to borrow that. So I have that. I have, running. Yep. So road work. I have a bike also. So to do that, it's just a matter of time and place and when. And balance it out. So. I'm waiting for the lake so I can go swim.
No, but I mean,
over here.
Well, good that you're staying in shape. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not just you're being proactive. To when this thing ends. It's I know. I know. I hear. God knows, but I don't know. I think as far as Connecticut is concerned, because our proximity to New York, I don't see anything sooner than midsummer. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it. The fact that they shut down schools, and I'm not sure what the next thing will be, as far as what will be kind of like the gauge, as far as when things will be safe for the general mass. But I'm not seeing at least till midsummer. Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't go in the fall. Man, that's gonna be rough. Oh my God.
I know.
Chris, can you imagine me going to fall without having a training partner? Oh my God, I'm gonna be like, it's gonna literally be underground. When they talk about underground training.
Yeah. It's telling me.
Goodness.
It really is.
Oh, Gail says hi.
Hi, Gail.
Thank you for jumping in. All right, so I want to officially welcome episode 26. Thank you for coming on, both you and Chris. This is going to be kind of exciting because now he's my first female guest, but also I think what's really going to be neat about this episode is that we're actually going to see and hear a first-time discussion on how FMA, what what benefits or what tactics or what have you, attributes that from somebody who's actually fights in a ring. So I'm kind of excited about that. But let's get okay. So before I jump into FMA and what have you, just again, doesn't need to be exact year, but what was your were you a late bloomer? What was your first martial arts experience?
So about like 11 or 12 years ago now, I actually did a little like more karate. I was just trying to learn like self-defense, and then I met Chris, and I had always had that like competitive side to me. So I met Chris at one point, and I was doing jujitsu at the same time, and I was, I wanted to compete, and he kind of was oh, are you really sure? And I was like, this guy's the right guy to know. And then when I met him, as soon as I met him, it wasn't just boxing classes or just jujitsu; it was everything. So he had classes in, Kali, boxing, and we did it all. So that's when my first experience was pretty much right when I first started. I'd say like a year in within 1 year with Chris.
So when you referenced 11 years ago, so is that fair?
Yeah, I keep getting older, and I keep saying the same amount of years.
Yeah, you lose. Yeah, you lose sense of time. So like roughly about 2009, 2010 or so.
Yeah, yep. I'd say 2008, maybe.
In 2008, yeah.
7, yeah, actually. So yeah, 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, 35. Just recently. That's why.
So when you so going back to that time, you basically, obviously, I'm assuming you fighting in a ring wasn't even a mindset when you first started training in his classes and what have you. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you started. How long into your training where did you actually like think about, hey, I might want to take my skill set and test it out? Like how many years, generally speaking, about?
Well, yeah, I'd say after like about a year, like once I started learning the jiu-jitsu aspect about the fact that I could compete, and then I met Chris. It was more like, well, maybe I can even compete with like the MMA aspect or the like a Muay Thai fight kind of aspect or boxing. So that was about a year in, not even.
Or a year into it. Wow. Okay. So that's pretty quick. Usually, some people a few or what have you. That so obviously, yeah. When you say competitive, obviously you had a driving force.
Well, yeah, she doesn't tell everybody, or some people know, but like she played rugby, so Jessy's always been real physical.
Okay, so you used to contact, obviously.
Yeah. So and I'd like to say that she's always had an eye for pressure testing. So it's like, okay, we can do this. Can you fight with it? We did this. Will this work in the ring? She'd always ask me that. Will this work in the cage? Will this work in an MMA fight with it? So.
Okay. And then he said, in order to get my blue belt, so I had to be a blue belt before I'd fight. So, I did like a billion tournaments just to get it fast so I could fight. So.
Okay, so are you saying basically in your first year you were just throwing yourself into the gi, non-gi tournaments?
All of it, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm assuming Naga,
Grappler's Quest.
Yeah, GQ.
Okay, so the bigger venues there. Okay.
Yeah, even the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, she's done those. Okay. Yeah.
So all right, so a year in, you decided, wow, this is something I would like to compete in and all that. So within that year, were you? I think you might have mentioned it. Is it safe to say that you were doing a little of everything? Was there one area in particular you were concentrating on, or? No,
everything. Yeah, it was classes that Chris had at his gym. Which was boxing and not MMA really, but more like we had wrestling. We had Jiu-Jitsu specifically or Kali specifically classes, and I would just take each of them.
Oh, so you were attending as many as you could and feeling everything out. Okay. So within that, I mean, it sounds like right from the get-go you were experiencing FMA, even though maybe it wasn't construed as your major or whatever. But your first experience, I'm obviously pretty 99.9% sure of this. It was Chris, correct?
Yes, and he had some advanced students who also were very smart in those areas too. So you had classes where there were multiple students that had already been taking classes with Chris.
They were already somewhat seasoned. So when you're doing, and I know, again, I know we're going back literally a decade here and some. Just do you remember? I mean, and again, nothing specific. Again, I know it's been a long time, but can you recall what your initial, what did you initially think when you're doing FMA and the weapons? I mean, what was your initial thoughts?
So, back when I first started out, I kind of went with the flow. So Richard Castillo would have seminars, and I would go with Chris and multiple other students who were also seasoned, like we talked about before. And I was getting to know different people all throughout the community. I was like learning different like styles. You know, we do things certain ways in our gym, and then I go down there and I'm like, oh, well, that person I thought would be better, but then, you know, their footwork was way bad. And I was like, Chris, I wonder why. Like, it was just, you know, there's so many cool things to see when I did that thing with the seminars. So that was really cool. And
you know, when you have like a baseline, it's really nice to sit back and compare contrast among styles. It's one of my favorite things to do. Not for negativity or anything like that. Just the interest, like, you know, why they do what they do and what have you. So you know you're seeing this weapon stuff, and I think it's fair to say most of the curriculum was coming from the Anasano blend and Dose Paris.
Yes.
Okay. What do you know? Obviously, I know within a year you started. So, what'd you think about, like, when you're actually moving around the weapons? Not so much, you know, Carenza like at home or what have you, but like when you actually got to initially spar around with them, like, what were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think when I first started learning the sticks and everything, I used to go and dance, and there was always people with like the light sticks. So I was really excited because I started getting licks in a wallet, and I was like, I can do that now in a club if I want to. And so I was excited. I wanted to be fast. I wanted to learn. So it was very exciting for me to take that from the original, like just learning weapons.
Oh, I think that's really neat. Like, here it is. You came from a dancing where they have kind of like the additive effect of having lighter sticks, and here it is. Then you go to air with sticks. So that must have been a nice bridging. Wow.
The other thing that was really cool is that learning from Chris all of the movements, and then seeing him fill in for someone that was doing it with fire and just jump in. I'm like, have you ever done that before? And I just like, he's like, no, and he just did it. And I'm like, your sticks are on fire. And I'm like, I hit myself in the head once in a while with my stick. I hope you don't hit yourself in the, you know. So it was just so cool to see that, to see where the stick stuff could apply to like entertainment. I was like, this is cool. I got to learn this stuff.
So in the beginning, were you mostly doing, whether it was knife or stick or what have you, I'm assuming a lot of hand sparring initially?
Yes. And the other thing with learning all the knife movements, and it scared me also. I lived in Bridgeport for a while, and, you know, I wouldn't necessarily walk to the club with high heels and a red dress or something and stand out. But either way, I was much more cautious of how I carried myself after learning knife fighting. And stuff.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. That knife tends to bring out reality. Yeah.
I still had my high heels in my backpack, and then when I got to the club, I put them on. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, so we got your initial thoughts and all that, and I know you mentioned you're doing the Naga tournaments. He wanted you to wait a year till you got blue belt and all that. So I know you only have a year in, and you're still, you know, somewhat just getting acclimated to all the different arts and what you're doing and what have you. At what time in your journey, you know, did you actually, and didn't necessarily mean like a conversation that take place between you and Chris, but, you know, like, hey, you know, this stuff I've been doing, I wonder if it would be beneficial for me in the ring. I'm assuming it didn't happen the first year, of course. I mean, that's a lot to take in. But like, was it maybe some years down the road where that question maybe came up?
You know, I think I might be the best person to answer that, because
Sure, please do.
I'm not kidding. Ever since the first time I showed her, it could be if I showed her an angle one. I would show her something, Dean, and literally the next question: will that work in a cage? Will that work in an MMA fight? Like, always. If I showed her how to do a backflip, how will that work in the cage? You know what I mean? Like, so
you take your forearm and
yeah. So I can remember, like, this is like before, like, I really got to know Justin before she really made the investment. But I'm like, that's all she wants. It's like, a very, not maliciously aggressive, but she's always just had this aggressive, well, will it work in a fight? Can I use that move right there? Can I use that move to secure a takedown, to set up a position to knock somebody out or whatever? She's just always had she likes to fight.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. That's it. No, all right. So then, so obviously you were inquisitive, asking questions and all that, which obviously is a good thing for a student that wants to enter the ring and all that, knowing what's going to work and not. I'm sure that obviously paid dividends. So, your first, no, okay. So your first fights, were they? I know, again, not to reiterate, but I know your first year you're doing the NOG and all that. What year was, I guess, your first MMA match?
My first MMA match?
The first fight.
Yeah, where like kind of all inclusive.
Amateur.
It was
I think it was 2008.
Yeah, 2008.
Keeling. So yeah, around 2008. Yeah.
That was your first fight? Wow, I didn't know you went back that long.
Amateur. I had 2 amateur fights in the beginning, and then I ended up just going pro because nobody else was. I took some time for grad school, so nobody was fighting me then, and it was hard to get fights, so just had to go pro.
Yeah, but 2008. I don't know what made. I didn't realize it was that far back. Wow. Okay.
He's a veteran. It sneaks up on people, But
yeah, but it's like you say, it's easy to kind of lose track of time. Like here it is, we're going 2020. So wow, 12 years ago was your first fight. So again, so you had 2 amateur fights. You go pro, what, 2010 or something, or later?
Yeah, I think it was that or a little bit later because I did 2 years at grad school, and Chris wouldn't let me fight during grad school because I was also working full time. So I was 8 hours, then I would go to the gym and learn some moves, and then I'd go right on the computer and work my grad school. So I would never really remember the moves that I just learned because I'm always going into something else.
That would be way too much for me.
But I still trained, so I wasn't fighting MMA at that point because it was just.
Yeah, I didn't see why. Wow, what a load. My gosh.
But, I was competing in jiu-jitsu as well, so I actually upped my belt level in that time though. So when I came back,
different place, different school.
No, with Chris, just
okay. I got you.
You could always jump into a jiu-jitsu tournament like the day of.
So when all right, so around 2010, 2011 or so, you go pro. As far as the stand-up is concerned, what did you? I mean, like, did you see where the FMA could come into play then, without anything like that you did specifically, but just maybe an intuition, so to speak?
Yeah, one of the things I took a lot from Chris was just like a jab hammer or a hook hammer, and I used to use that a lot, just in general. And it's kind of when you think of like having a stick in your hand or a knife. So that was one of the things I used to throw a lot of the time. And now I'm balancing how and when, the timing versus power for my MMA fights, when to use that. Sometimes the power might not be there, or maybe it's going to set up my power. So that's where I'm at with that one. The other one is just hitting first. I feel like was something I really took with, like, if you're going to knife fight, I'm not going to let you just stab me and I'll stab you back. So sometimes people will throw a punch, then
let me take a few just to see how hard his hit is.
Yeah. So you see fights, I'll defend after. I'm like, no. If you have a knife in your hand, I'm not going to just hang out there.
So it sounds like you were working the orbitus. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The back fist there. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So then you're doing that. And then when you're going to hear, so.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah.
The funny thing, so working the ortobus, right? And I showed it to her, like, I don't know, a handful of times, but not like we didn't sit there and drill it every day, but she took to it. And so here it is. I showed it to her. And then one day, and so she used to insert it into her game and her sparring a lot. And one day we were all training and I did it. in a sparring session with one of the guys, and he's like, "Oh man, Jess showed you that." She had taken it and adopted it and adapted it, so like it wasn't even my move anymore. It's like, so people are like, "Jess showed you that," and I'm like, "No, she didn't."
Wait, who's the teacher here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. All right. So no, that was a great example. Like, what about again, as far as the class setting is concerned, when in other words, you're still going to his classes as you're competing, in the fight scene and all that. Was there certain things during those classes that you were trying to really pick from FMA, or like things? I mean, I know the example of the Orbis came up, but were there maybe other, examples that that you wanted to do or test out per se?
Yeah, I mean, I think like just like four corner style, like just hitting, like the hitting first, like kind of at the same time, that kind of stuff I would always take to that. And with Chris, when he would teach some of the drills, it wasn't necessarily that you would be the person, I would go to hit you and you would defend. He would make it so that he made you go into a specific, if you can explain it. You want to explain it exactly?
No, take it away.
Okay.
Basically using this stuff to work on putting people into position where you can take advantage of them.
Okay, so so you leading with strikes or footwork. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was something I would take into my MMA. Like I'd kind of bait people more, talk about drawing them. So I took a lot of that kind of aspect from him.
Okay.
From his training.
So before we get into like the specifics, after you're getting ladder in your career and all that, I'm sure as time went on, you could really identify what was working for you, what you really wanted to pull from FMA. Before we get that, I want to get back to, so during this time though, in the classes, it's fair to say you're still kind of enjoying like the sparring, whether it be stick, knife fighting, what have you. I mean, you're still participating in that, even though you're quote unquote an MMA fighter. Was that true or?
Yes, absolutely. And even with being quarantined, I have some fun. I have a light stick, and I'll do some drills on my own, or I've done some stuff with actually Chris. I was talking about, I put cones around water bottles and we run around the gym in the past and knock them over with drills and things. Just kind of.
It's funny. I checked out your Instagram. I mean, I thought that was fantastic. For whatever reason, I couldn't get it to, or whatever, but I thought that was really neat what you were doing there with the light thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't put it up. But what I do want to pull up though, and this seems like it was fairly recent, I'm guessing, where people can actually see that, that you do. Just want to make sure I'm getting the right one. Yeah. No, that's not it. Bear with me here.
Also, Dean, as a coach, a lot of times using the Filipino martial arts has made it easier. It's made my job easier because I can use some of the training methods or some of the different drills to better illustrate something that we might need for boxing, something that we might need for inside work. You know what I mean?
Sure. Absolutely.
Great form of reference. Or also sometimes we would use knife sparring to wake up the instincts, wake up your perception.
So, listen, you know what? That's a good point. Let's stay on that a bit. I think you hit something there. Because to me, one of the things, FMA has given me, obviously that we've talked about is just enhanced via weapons is the enhanced perception to reaction.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned up waking up to perception, you know what I mean? You first come into class, getting them not just physically motivated and warmed up, but how about what you just touched on, getting them mentally warmed up? And, you think about it, everybody gets you physically warmed up. I think it's fair to say for me anyhow, some mental warm up is also beneficial. So can you expand on that? I think that was a great point.
Yeah, well, because you could be agile and strong and be physically ready. You know what I mean? You're well conditioned. But if your instincts and your ability, I mean, you have to perceive a threat. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says. Nothing will make you pay attention like knowing that you could get hit with a stick, knowing that you could get cut with a knife. Even if it's a training cut, the fact is, I mean, we're supposed to approach it with, intent and seriousness. So when I get cut, when I get a knuckle shot, I think, oh my God, if that was real.
You have to. I totally agree with you. And here's what you really need to do. You really need to examine, why did that happen?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, is it because my proximity was off? Was my hand evasion? I mean, like, obviously something, didn't work out. And, as I told you, and I've shared with you, and I'm sure you guys agree, man, nothing serves better than experience and failures. You know what I mean? I just want to take a moment. We had a few people here on here that commented. Karen Pett?
No, that's my mom.
Great love, the Widowmaker. Okay, Paul. Hi, guys. Hi, Paul. Andres, good work, grad school and training. Yeah, absolutely. Respect. Man, that's a lot. Frank, hello, Frank. And Gilbert from Canada. Hi, thank you guys for jumping in and commenting. Thank you. But getting back to what you're saying, yeah, I mean, right. You have to acknowledge you got hit, and you got to you can't just kind of oh, I got hit. I mean, you got to
yeah.
What happened there? At least I think so. Anyhow,
Cool.
And I mean, you can see, and there's definitely parallel from that, bringing that to the fight game. You can't just get repeated jab in the face 6 times in a row and not begin to try to think about that and problem solve and what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right, we've got to make some adjustments because something's not working.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at, if that's starting in the classroom, which you alluded to, I think that's fantastic that you're addressing that in a class setting, getting this warmed up. So, these failures or these mistakes can be minimized or immediately corrected because they're being identified and why they happen. So I don't know. I thought that was profound. That was a good piece. All right. Okay. Those that are watching, this is Jessy, who I think is pretty exciting. She's got the gear on, and she is. All right. So let's check a little of this out. So actually, this is the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Got some music in the background. Jessy's wearing red, and Chris is helmet. You're not wearing red.
Nailed it.
Oh my God, at FMA, you're a southpaw. So obviously, you're hanging in there. Obviously, you're going somebody with significant more experience than you and all that. So that's.
I think he have his gear on. That's how much experience he has. He doesn't even want to put his gear on.
Yeah, but I mean that's to be expected. I don't know. I mean, you're doing it. You'll learn from your. Hey, it's a lot more than other.
She's never afraid to engage and close the distance.
Yeah, I think that's at the end there, where I think you guys get into a bit of clinch. I knew we were just going to show part of this, but this is a little bit exciting for me. I think it's coming up. The clinch. There we go.
Yeah, I think she knocked my stick out of my hand. I think what may have happened there is I think she knocked my stick out of my hand, and I had to like close the gap before I get smacked around the room with a stick.
Yeah, and then the
yeah.
Yeah. And now, what is your spine saying right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But good on you. That I don't know. I love seeing the ladies mix up like that. I think that's really neat. I think that's refreshing for the community. So that was fun watching that.
I got Dean.
Go ahead.
Over the years, I've trained a lot of women. Not like more than the next guy, but I've trained a lot of women. And the thing that I guess I would say this, that what part of Jessy's success is that she's the first woman that I've trained who can she can spar in any aspect of the martial arts. You know what I mean? Pressure sparring, real time, with basically no restrictions. She can spar in any and every aspect of the martial arts. She can box, she can kickbox, she can Thai box, she can wrestle, she can do jiu-jitsu, she can knife spar, she can stick spar, she'll even pick up the staff. That's a big deal. That's not a lot, you know what I mean? And I think all of it sometimes I think they kind of meet together. All of those that quality itself is where you get someone who has good success with their mixed martial arts. Well, I think that's part of her success.
Yeah, no. I think enough said. Again, I find it so refreshing seeing the women do this. Matter of fact, that's what, when I first started this, one of my goals, it still is my goal, in the mission statement I wrote up for FMA Discussion group, not to jump off subject here, was that I didn't want just to be a male, interviewing just males. I want to hear from the females. I really do. But, you know what I mean? I want to hear from them. I want to hear from their experiences, what they feel, what they've done, how it's helped them benefit, whether it's stress inoculator that's enhanced them, be able to deal with stress. God forbid something happens out in the real world where they've experienced dealing with it inside the setting, where the mistakes could be made there as opposed to out there. And so I'm still going to be pushing that envelope from hearing women. So kudos to you for being the first one and doing it. So now so jumping back on track, so now you got a few years in. Obviously, you're still going to class with Chris. You got some fights and all that. As you're maturing, not only as a martial artist as a whole per se, but within the fight game, which obviously is totally different. When did clarity, and I'm hoping that's the right word to be served here, when did clarity start to come in where hey, you know what? There's stuff here that's not only going to enhance me, but now that I've got more maturity within this, and I can actually maybe be a little more selective and pulling things out that's really going to enhance my style. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And by all means, use the man next to you to help you out.
Yeah, honestly, I think that the way that Chris has always taught us is he would start with a stick and then a knife and then empty hands. So all the empty hand stuff was really helpful. And that was a
derivative. Some of it was a derivative off the weapons. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we started noticing that her footwork. Not every athlete has footwork. They all have some footwork, but I think, you've seen some guys when they fight, they have better footwork than others.
Sure.
And I've definitely seen times, and I'm seeing it more now with Jess, that she's very effective using her footwork and her front hand to get to where she wants to be. Or there have been a couple of times when things might have even gotten a little hot during a fight, and she's used her front hand and her footwork to like kind of, tone things down, or manage things, and I would say that probably in the last 2 years, I'd say there's been a noticeable change.
Oh, I mean, as far as the development and getting more seasoned, more comfortable with some of the FMA attributes.
Yeah.
So to speak? Okay.
Yeah. And I think that now that she's gotten some polish with her sparring and with her overall fighting, and again, like the whole perception, she's seeing things better. She's seeing things more on her terms, or she's seeing things that feel more familiar, more comfortable. And then now it's made the other aspects of her fight career, like she doesn't stress about weight cutting that much. You know what I mean? She doesn't. She's like, it's just the whole process has sobered her and definitely matured her.
Okay. I want to just, not that I want to bring my own experience in here.
Sure.
I really want to bring this up just to see if it's enhanced or it helped Jessy. I believe in stress inoculators in a classroom setting, particularly with weapons. I believe that if the student in the very beginning is starting to negotiate and deal with stress, God forbid if something happens, they're going to be better prepared to manage that. In other words, instead of going, what am I going to do? No, this is what I'm going to do. And I believe that has to start in a classroom setting, and you build like anything else in gradual increments where the confidence starts to overshadow maybe the big hole of stress, where, stress management, for lack of a better word or term to be used, and all that. And what I wanted to know from you is if this is applicable. When you put on that gear and you got a stick swinging at you, does that help you like with stress? I mean, you're in a cage, so you obviously have to be handling stress pretty well to begin with. I guess what I want to know is, does the weapon sparring have that help there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hitting other people with sticks and stabbing them with knives always definitely helps with stress relief. It does. I'm just, for real, it does definitely always help. I mean, for example, there's a couple things that I can remember, like if I get hit with a stick on my hand, like a bare hand, how angry and like how I'm like, and being able to hit back with the stick is definitely so much better. There's a couple things also that Chris has even said when you're really stressed out and you're at home and you're by yourself, like you can like scream into a pillow, or if you're driving, just scream, just to de-stress. And I just feel like I feel more comfortable, like now that I know I can be part of martial arts to do those things. And
I just found it, and again, I wanted to get your reaction to that and like your insight, because I just know for a fact from my students' feedback that they hate it. At first they hated it. It's going from 10 to I hate it at a 7. I hate it at a 6. But to me, it's so beneficial, to be able to handle and deal with stress, and before, God forbid, when it's like, oh my God. And you already, like, again, to reiterate, being in a ring, obviously your stress negotiation, it sounds like it's pretty good. Front of a bunch of people yelling and screaming. You got somebody across the ring from you that, doesn't want to see you have a good day. So I'm guessing, and all that, but I was just curious again, just to see if you got any enhancement, through the weapons and all that. For me, it's empty hand against knife. To me, there's not a greater stress inoculator for me personally. Somebody trying to kill me, and I can't run. I don't have an egress or equalizer, and I have to deal with it.
A funny thing. So when we first started introducing the weapon sparring, we would just do like most, going just after the hand.
Hand hunting, yep.
So with the padded sticks, it's one thing, but when we would use the live stick and like a hockey glove, I knew that because Jessy is pretty much always even tempered, but little things like the snappy shot across the knuckles.
Good times, huh?
Oh yeah. So I can remember a couple of times, pop, pop. The next thing you know, she's coming forward.
Yeah. To me, again, I'm glad that it's from what I'm getting from you that it's enhanced. Handling your stress, because I don't care what anybody says, man, I still get goosebumps and nerve wracking with full contact stick and all that. I don't care who you are, man. If they say I mean, okay.
What freaks me out, and like it happens to everybody. If you're stick sparring, it's gonna happen. But but for me, the biggest freak out, the biggest thing that not necessarily freaks me out, like where I react, where my reactions would be a negative thing, but mentally I sit there and kind of go, oh my God, that could have been it. So if we've got the gear on, the helmets, when you hear that, the sound of the stick hitting the grid of the helmet, because that's it. You're done. If that's a fight, you're done. You know what I mean? So anytime you hear that metal ting, ping, you're like, ah.
Yeah, I know.
It scared the crap out of me every time I first started. Whenever I'd get hit there, it was like I was like, blink. I'm like,
yeah, you know why? Because it sends an echo.
Yeah, it's not even hitting me, and I'm like, oh, that was.
So not only do you hear it, but you have to get the residual effect from the echo.
Yeah.
So hearing it initially wasn't enough.
And the reality is, if that were a real stick, if that were a real sword or a real bat, you just lost a fight. It's over.
Yeah, especially edged. I mean,
Oh yeah.
And the other thing too, this always taught me was like you carry, if you're going to carry a knife, you better know how to use it. So, by training with him, at least I feel more comfortable carrying a knife. I know that there's
right enough that just haphazardly. I carry one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna name a few things before we get into it because I know you guys got a demo for us, which I'm looking forward to. But I want to just name a few things and just if you can give me either or both, just whatever comes to your mind as far as the benefits that in the ring. Okay, and some of these we touched upon a little, but all right. FMA footwork.
I mean, absolutely everywhere in the ring, just in general, just there's so many people in the ring that you see that they have horrible footwork. They're just standing right in front. So the footwork at FMA allows me to change angles and to shorten or tighten. It definitely applies. Right.
So a lot of these guys said they're just being very linear. You're bringing angles, whether forward, rear, okay, no, absolutely. Center mass awareness or center, in this case, it could be center line, but center mass or center line awareness.
I would say what Chris has always been really big on, just straight down the line, straight punching. And, a lot of fighters will come in and they'll just throw these overhand. I'm able to find, I'm able to get down that center line. And
find the gap. Okay.
Yeah.
What about from a defensive perspective and if Chris can chime in too, or you, from a defensive perspective, center mass or center line preservation.
So I would say that it's been pretty good for her because she doesn't get taken down often.
So obviously you're protecting your center.
Yeah. She maintains her up when she wants to. You know what I mean? I think it's the center line preservation has definitely helped her stay up when she wants to, and if she needs to reverse a situation to go to the floor, she's got good controls to do that too.
Okay, fantastic. No, great answers. Perception and reaction. In other words, it could be, and I'm not talking about punches, kicks. It could be seeing a shoulder dip. They want to do a double leg. I mean, anything. From the weapons sparring and all that. Perception and reaction.
You know, she recognizes opportunity a lot better than I think most. You know what I'm saying? So, especially because with all the front hand stuff that we've done, she's been able to find opportunities to either redirect her opponent's lead hand, and also perhaps the perception and reaction thing, maybe seeing, even when she's not quite sure what she's seeing, she's been able to readjust maybe her position and neutralize whatever her opponent may have thought they saw. I don't know if that I was really clear with how I said that, but that's
No.
You know?
I think it was good. Range, sense of range.
You pretty much always know where you are, right?
It's a combination, I feel like, of a lot of different things, but I definitely it definitely helped with like just trying to find the range in and out.
Controlling it, trying to find, establishing it, for the weapons. Okay.
Not just staying in there and being like, okay, let me take a punch. I'm like, I'm out because I don't want, if I was getting.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm sorry. Right. So, I think that's fair because I just know from me, like, if, dealing with the weapons, I just think it makes your sense of range more acute where you're vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I that stands to reason. And then Chris, this one's for you and Jesse. Recovery. So any enhancement on recovering, particularly if she missed? Like it could be a takedown. It could be anything.
Yeah, you know what? I think, especially in the last, like the last 2 years, last 3 years, maybe, there's definitely been a point where she launches an attack, and even if it misses, she's definitely been more aware of, okay, I got to get right back to position. You know what I mean? A new position, or whoa, I can't stay here because I think I might be exposed. So
no, right on. Good. All right, no, that was it. That was excellent. I just that was wonderful. So I guess you guys are going to show us, some of the drills that you guys have done, maybe like pre-fight, or whatever you guys had in mind. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. What we'll do is we'll go back and forth between some stuff with the stick and some, maybe even maybe touch on the blade, but definitely the stick. And then I think
we got time. So if you want to do stick, blade, empty hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sure. Yeah.
Hey. All right, so we got.
So for starters, some of the simple stuff that I think all Filipino martial artists might appreciate, the use of Sinawali, and also Carenza especially. Jess has got really good Carenza, so flowing, you know what I'm saying? Knowing how to flow, be it shadow boxing or shadow boxing with the weapon. She's always, really moved. And having the dance background, I think, also has helped. So that all kind of ties together. So
Okay.
when she's warming up, even, you know what I'm saying? Like she's never tight, or at least her movements aren't tight. Maybe her muscles might be tight, but her movements aren't ever tight when she's warming up. So that's one of the first things that we start with a lot of times before she's fighting. And in fact, every time she fights, we always bring a set of sticks, right?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, every time, even if it's for like 5 or 10 minutes up when we're like, in the hotel room or something like that, she's doing something, and it's almost like some people use a yo-yo maybe to kind of like loosen up and relax, but a lot of times we'll use a Screama, Kali,
Yeah, I guess because you're actually moving your whole arm. I can see that. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll start with just some simple drills, and then I'll come back and show like what we do with them or how we play the game with them. All right.
Okay. Sure.
So let's just do some exercises to start with this right here. Yeah. Right. And then we'll go back. So a lot of times, I mean, you mentioned it before, the ortobus, boom. So
okay, the back fist. Okay.
this is the beginning of some of the front hand education stuff that we do. All right. So,
Oh, that's neat. Then you'll show the empty hand aspect of it. All right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, right on.
So let's do. So maybe all offense, right? So if we did something, a more strictly offensive option. So we could jab here, right? And again, if we go jab, hammer.
Right. Okay.
To bring it
Basically, simulating your forehand backhand.
Exactly, right, the forehand backhand. But then, because you kind of want to make sure that we're blending the whole boxing thing, or the kickboxing component, we might start with the jab, right? Then we go to the jab hammer. We might add the jab, cross hook right after it. Again. My fault. Okay. Then, so that's using the forehand backhand more offensively with follow-ups. Defensively, sometimes maybe I jab and then she'll come back with the hammer. Boom.
Ah, okay.
So she's picked off my shot and then boom. And still could add the other follow-ups, taking control of this thing again. So it's boom.
Here, can I interject?
What's that? I'm sorry?
I just want to interject quickly, just from an observation point of view, because she's a southpaw. That would make complete sense against conventional fighters.
Yes.
Left-hand lead, picking off their lead and coming back with it. And because I'm thinking like, and then when I saw her lead, I'm like, well, that makes complete sense. Oh, right.
Yeah.
I know even in Jiu-Jitsu, everybody put their power in the front. My power is my left. I'm left-handed, so that's not exactly. I kind of cheated with that one. I didn't do that, but I'm glad because even in wrestling, like everybody usually starts with the right leg forward.
Yeah.
Just a lot of the drills we've always done with any kind of.
No, that's good. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's just something I noticed. So.
No problem, no problem. So we did it using the forehand backhand. We went all offense. Then we went defense, but taking back the offense. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Then let's see. Oh, but she also uses the same concept a lot of times with her hand fighting. So maybe I'm here just squared off, and she'll like back the hand out of the way and still come back. You know? Oh, you see what I'm saying? So she's done it long range to get close. She's defended with it, boom, and then now she's just being more, harassing an opponent. You know.
Gotcha.
So one more time. Boom. Boom.
Sweet.
Say again. I'm sorry.
No, that was nice combo. Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah. So we got one more for you, and then now this is again working off that forehand backhand X. So we got here. So I'm just leaving this out here for her to just work on some accuracy and some targeting, just so she has something to reference also.
Okay.
Okay, again. Boom, again. So she's making the X off of her front hand and then coming back with the rear hand again.
Got it. Okay.
Boom. One more time. Boom. And you've already seen what we do with it, where just sort of like bringing it all.
Okay.
You know. So she's down. This time she might fake a jab, come back with the hammer, boom, and then with the cross. Okay. Boom. Sorry. One more. So that's what we got for you.
No, I like that. Wow. I definitely saw the parallel forehand backhand with the jab to the orbiter. No, that was clear. Absolutely.
There's also like placement on the body. So like, if I'm doing something, probably like, and just anything the weapons have helped me with, throwing right to this area. It's not really conventional, and you don't see many MMA fighters doing that. But it's
if you want to clinch or whatever. No, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, it's totally legal, and it's it's a good spot. So
yeah, right. Yeah, right. So what you guys have? Still got a few minutes. You guys got any? Did you have anything with knife? Let's see it.
With the knife, especially as far as like getting ready for fights and stuff. It's more about, again, just that education of the front hand.
Okay.
So we would use probably just more some knife sparring than
get
anything
it warmed
else.
up or what have you, like you mentioned before, getting the mental preparation.
Exactly. I was going to say that the mental aspect with the knife, like now I'm like, I don't want to even let them remotely touch me. Like, and some people will be like, I'll block with this hand and take the hit. I'm like, no, if it's a knife, that's not happening.
No, right. Better not just to be there. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
No argument there.
Yeah.
No, that's a good, can't argue that outlook. Yeah.
I've seen some big guys actually block a hit and get knocked out either because they're so big sometimes. So
Yeah. Some of your really big, heavy hand guys. Sure. You guys actually, this was fantastic. And you guys hit the timing like perfectly because we're coming up on an hour. So you guys couldn't have timed that any better. So I don't know if you guys planned this or something. Or,
next trip, this was my doing.
Yeah, right. So you got him to be on time and to stay in one place.
That's it. See?
So you're gonna have to write an outline for that for future people so they can use that.
Right on. Right.
It'll be how to secure Chris.
Yeah. Little playbook.
You can make a Cliff Note version. Be a bestseller.
I did actually go to his house, so that's part of it. He's not.
So I couldn't sneak away.
That would be the beginning stage. You start at the house. And then, you know, you go from proximity there to then the school. And then,
You know something, Dean? I wanted to say this, and
Sure.
that is, recently, I've had a renewed, not interest, but a renewed lens with how I look at the Filipino arts, you know? And I think sometimes we don't apply the appropriate filters for when we're training it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when we work out together, we work on it sometimes is minimal, but it's very deep. If that makes it, you know what I'm saying? That's a weird way of describing something, or almost like contradictory. Minimal, but it's deep. You know what I'm saying? It's minimal, but
I know you're going with this, and the parallel, what you're trying to describe is the way, you know, Guru Dave, as you know, my teacher there, it's a difference between drilling and attribute development.
Right.
Drilling, because of not that, and again, I don't want this getting misconstrued or that. There's nothing wrong with drilling. That's not where I'm alluding to this or where I'm going with it. However, if all you're doing is drilling and you're not really narrowing your scope, and you're trying to be and while trying to be a functionalist and trying things that are actually going to work out there, that's, in my opinion, where attribute development comes in. And I think that's what you're alluding to, where you're kind of narrowing, you know, kind of dialing in, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's cleaning it up. So we're, you know what I'm saying? We're really starting to clean things up.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as you know, from my conversations with you and you witnessing David and what I've showed you, obviously, you're not going to get an argument from me. You know. This is fantastic. Again, I want to thank you both for taking the time to do this and all that. I thought this was really refreshing. Again, you know, not just getting, you know, a women practitioner on here, but one who, again, those who maybe are jumping in late or what have you, but also one that fights and has pulled, you know, some concepts and physical tactics and all that into the ring. And so this was kind of two birds with one stone, so to speak. One, I got a female. I got somebody, an MMA fighter, who actually who was able to give some insight into the benefits from FMA training. So this was this was a double good. So again, but thank you both. How about those who would like, perhaps would like to follow up on you in your career and all that? Where can they access, like far as like, your fights and what have you? I mean, what do you got I know you got the fight page on Facebook. What's that again?
It's just Jessy Miele's athletic page. I also just have my personal Facebook, which is like just Jessy Miele.
And then you get the athletic page, okay?
And Instagram, and then my gyms, IMB, CTE. I have my gyms that I train at also. We put stuff up.
Okay. It sounds, and obviously you're on Instagram.
I have my last fight on Bellator.com. You can check it out there.
Right.
Okay. Oh, the last one's on Instagram.
On Bellator. Bellator.com.
Oh, okay. So they wanted to see you fight. They could go. So this is new to me. Where they go to the Bellator website?
Yeah, that's the latest one, at least that you'll see. So yeah, they have the Bellator website.
Oh, okay. And I just want to make sure we get all the comments. So we got.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, and then hopefully at some point when the quarantine, the lockdown, and we're allowed to touch each other again and allowed to touch each other again, you'll see we're fighting maybe this year in Bellator again.
Hey, I want to just ask something, because somebody said this to me, and I just I was talking to a high school friend today, and his son is really into, and I guess, again, because I've been just so busy with this and all that, and maybe I did hear about it, but I just neglected to pay particular attention to it. But I guess the UFC are still going on.
I haven't seen it yet.
For him, I mean, this is not coming from me.
Yeah.
per him, I guess there is a UFC fight this weekend. Of course, no audience, but the fighters. But there's going to be a fight. So I guess the reason I was bringing that up is even though we have to wait, I guess
Right. Yeah.
Dana's pushing it through.
Wow.
Assuming that my information is correct. So, but here, there were a couple more comments. I always just like to reference the people's comments. Meals on Wheels. Who we got there, Jess? Who's that?
Oh, it's my dad. Okay.
Who's that?
That's my dad. Thanks, Dad.
Okay, thanks for interviewing Jessy. You're welcome, Dad. She has all the tools after 12 years of hard work. It seems it. Thanks to Chris for so many years of training support. Well, that was nice of Dad.
Thank you.
Paul says, nice. Gilbert, awesome job. Thank you, Gilbert, for watching again. Karen, thanks for the demo. Awesome. Yes. Hi, Mike Frazier. Good guy. David Gould, student, Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Gail, thank you. Gail, great interview. Dropped his stick. I was there. Referencing the match.
Yeah, sorry. That's why he was in. Totally got me.
I was wondering where that. Okay. See, so you did drop your stick. Okay.
I told you I thought I lost my stick.
All right. So we have Gail, and then Jeff is also substantiating that Chris did in fact drop his stick. The evidence has been conclusive. But again, this is fun. This is a lot of fun, and I think, and hopefully, I really hope by you doing this, that other women will see this and be like, hey, that wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? So that's the goal. So I'm going to try. Incidentally, do you guys happen to know any other female, not FMA practitioners in your travels?
That do Kali? Or
yeah.
Filipino martial arts?
I know one, but I don't know if she's still active.
Okay.
But I know one.
Got a couple. I mean, a couple. How can I put it? A couple feelers out there, and I got some bites back. I mean, one young lady is from the Philippines, and I guess somebody else is just coordinated. What happens is that I try not to get too ahead of myself because, then I'll have like a list of like 15 people.
Right.
And I'm looking at it and get them all on, then it gets overwhelming. So I try not to make that mistake. So I try to stay a month ahead, but without getting too carried away and ahead of myself. So, but I still get a couple feelers out there for, getting them in there. But
yeah, I can see if my friend is still active. If she's still active, I can definitely.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. If you think of it, and she has an interest in all that. I mean, there's, again, I've been kind of fishing around and all that, but I'm gonna, before I was I kind of was under the illusion that maybe someone would offer all that.
Right.
Probably maybe the incorrect mindset for me to approach this with. So I think what I'm going to do is after this week, I'm going to actually have to make just more of an effort to really solicit and get some woman on here, as opposed to kind of just, I don't think I was being kind of aggressive enough as far as trying to do that, so, but that's going to change. No problem, Mike. It'll be posted right after this. I'm going to download it to YouTube and I'll post it. But Mike, Thursday we got another good one too at 7, same time, 7:00. All right. So yeah, but actually, my closing comment would be: so what I do is I take this, I throw it on YouTube, transfer it, download over there, and then what I'll do is I'll send it to you on your wall. You can actually have it, and then so all your people who weren't able to watch it, they can actually go to YouTube and watch it on there for those who maybe didn't get the chance or what have you.
Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my God. No worries. All right. Well, I want to thank you both again. Again, this was a lot of fun, and take care. And looks like I'll be seeing you Friday for that leg machine.
Good.
Jessy, thank you so much again. You did fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody who tuned in. See you
Oh
later.
my gosh. Absolutely. All right, guys.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Later.
Okay, that concludes episode 26. Episode 27 coming Thursday, same time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Again, is AK in USA. So there's going to be 3 guests. Ka Marvin Mendoza, Ka Von Batista, and Ka Joe Moore. And so that should be a lot of fun having 3 of them on there. That's going to be some good times. So anyway, that will be this Thursday. If you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. Thank you, and see you Thursday.